Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21. We're going to be using Alex Marquez from the LCR Honda right here in this magnificent circuit of Portimao, right here in the Algarve. Now of course, round 17 of the MotoGP 2021 season has just come to a completion, and it's time to discuss the three Grand Prix from today's events. Now honestly, amazing. All races were pretty good and very entertaining. Sadly, a little bit boring in Moto 2 towards the end, but a very crucial race that we will discuss about. But we have quite a lot to discuss here today, and we're going to start off with Moto 3. We're not going to mess around, let's just get straight into it. In Moto 3, congratulations to Pedro Acosta, the rookie champion, the brand new Moto 3 world champion. Absolutely amazing talent, another Spaniard straight off the conveyor belt and straight into a championship competition. Amazing. Absolutely brilliant talent. He has been really impressive all season long, and he did look like the favourite for the majority of the season, from winning in Qatar, Portimao again, and just many more Grand Prix. Things got a little bit sketchy towards the end of the season, the same thing he was criticised with in the CIV Red Bull Moto 3 Cups, because he was a little bit complacent towards the end of the season, and you did feel he was going to be sort of similar towards the end of Moto 3. But for me, I really wanted to see Dennis Foggia take the victory and to take the Grand Prix and the championship to the next Grand Prix here in Valencia. I really wanted that to happen, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and we'll get to discuss that in a moment's time. But just amazing job for Pedro Acosta, thoroughly deserved. But let's discuss the Grand Prix. So first and foremost, Pedro Acosta did take the victory, which resulted in him taking a whopping championship lead ahead of Dennis Foggia. Andrea Migno picked up the spoils and took second place, and of course Nicolo Antonelli. So two VR46 Riders Academy on the podium, so brilliant for the VR46 Academy and the Rossi fans of course. And I very much enjoy Andrea Migno's performances anyway, one of my favourite riders on the grid, and it's just a matter of time before he gets that next step and becomes World Championship sort of competition. I hope next year it's going to be his year, but we'll see. But we have to discuss Dennis Foggia. He was impeccable once again. Another brilliant performance from Dennis Foggia. Unfortunately, it came crashing down to an abrupt end. But Dennis Foggia's second half of the season has been unbelievable, considering he had a chance to win the World Championship, or at least to take it to the final round in Valencia with 6 DNFs. Is something amazing. Dennis Foggia has been on another level, and in my opinion has been the best rider in the second half of the season. Pedro Acosta dominated the first half, Dennis Foggia took the second. Now it looked like we were going to have a battle for the ages between Acosta and Foggia. It was going to be something heroic in my opinion, something legendary it was brewing up to be. Foggia was much quicker in the fourth sector, and having lost the position to Acosta in turn 3, I certainly felt like this was going to be something incredible. Unfortunately, Foggia was binded, and I hate to say it like that because it does seem a little bit derogatory, but unfortunately Darryn Binder's fault, making the lunge up on the inside of Sergio Garcia and taking out Dennis Foggia. Now I do agree that you could say it's just a bit of wrong moment at the right time, because it wasn't Darren's intention to take out one of the championship protagonists and Sergio Garcia. He went for the lunge in the head of Sergio Garcia, which was a clean move, he got the job done, but unfortunately with Pedro Acosta making the lunge, which was quite an aggressive move up on the inside of Foggia and forcing Dennis wide, it did result in Binder's runoff area to be the back of the Leopard Honda rider. Now it is inconvenient and it's a little bit of bad luck on Darryn Binder's part, but there's something I will mention, and that's the sense of maturity. Andrea Migno had many opportunities, and the same can be said for Antonelli and even Giammamassia, to make a lunge into turn 3 in the exact same situation many times, because Pedro Acosta tried that lunge up into turn 3 quite a few times and forced Foggia wide, and the riders behind didn't take action on the overtake because they know there's no runoff if they go for that lunge. So I think a little bit of maturity on the side of Darryn Binder, probably needs to learn a little bit more. That's where the blame goes on him. That's why my opinion is it is Darryn Binder's fault. Of course, Darryn Binder was in fact disqualified for knocking both Sergio Garcia and the championship protagonist Dennis Foggia off, which I agree with. I'm fine with that. But it just begs the question now, is Darryn Binder going to MotoGP the right move? Yes, you could say that's a little bit of an overstatement, a little bit dramatic, but it does make you wonder. Personally for me, ever since the signing was announced, I didn't really agree with it. I would have rather seen Binder go to Moto 2 and move up the ranks predominantly that way. but I'm not against it. You know, at the end of the day, I'm happy for Darren Binder to prove me wrong, and I hope he does. I really do. But it certainly leaves a question that needs to be answered, and unfortunately we're not going to get any answers. But a very, very sad situation to have the championship come to a close this early, because I really wanted it to go to Valencia and just have a good old-fashioned ding-dong. And I also really wanted, as a guilty pleasure, I wanted Dennis Foggia to win, because he is staying within Moto3 next season, and we have never, to my knowledge, had a defending champ in Moto3. So for me, that would have been something really, really epic to see, and unfortunately it's not going to happen. But enough about Moto3 right now. Let's finish up with the final crash. Unfortunately, John McPhee was the other crasher, and there was only the 4 DNFs of the Grand Prix, which was mentioned: Sergio Garcia, Dennis Foggia, Darren Binder with a disqualification, and John McPhee. But now moving over to Moto2, quite an interesting race. Not the most enjoyable race, and unfortunately, for some strange reason, they swapped Moto2 over with MotoGP, something I hate. I like to see the build-up of Moto3 to Moto2 to MotoGP, but unfortunately this time, Moto2 was on last, and unfortunately it wasn't that great, but it was crucial for the World Championship. Now, Raul Fernandez was fantastic. He got out to the front, did that classic Lorenzo style that we've come to see and come to watch many, many times this season, but Remy Gardner was on another level. He wanted that victory so badly, and he wanted those extra points to get ahead of Raul Fernandez, and honestly, if there was 1 or 2 more laps in this one, we could have been seeing a championship decided in Portimao again, because Sam Lowes was on an absolute tear in that final couple of laps. He was really chasing down Raul Fernandez, and the battle really came down to the tyre selection. The harder option won, i.e. Remy Gardner and then Sam Lowes chasing down Raul Fernandez. So Raul Fernandez went for the softer option tyre, which did not last. It was a gamble that unfortunately didn't pay off, and he is now trails by 23 points going into the Ricardo Tormo circuit of Valencia, which is going to be very interesting, because if Remy DNFs and Raul wins, it's still on. Nothing is over until the fat lady brings up the vocal cords. So as far as I'm concerned, this championship is not over yet, and this is how I like it, right down to the final corner, the final lap of the final Grand Prix. So rubbing hands together, I can't wait to see what happens in Valencia. And fortunately, we don't have to wait too long. Only 1 week away from the completion of MotoGP, 1 week to the end of MotoGP 2021 season, which has been absolutely fantastic. But I'm getting off subject a little bit. So the podium finishes, of course, as mentioned, Remy Gardner, Raul Fernandez and Sam Lowes on the podium, so great result. Unfortunately, Marco Bezzecchi went backwards again. Wrong tyre choice for Bez put him further and further back down, finishing in 8th position after almost taking a victory, or at least close enough to 2nd place for quite a while. So bit of a shame for Bez, but unfortunately it's not the first time we've seen this, going for the wrong tyres and just fading backwards all the way through. It's hard to watch, to be honest with you, and as a fan of Bezzecchi, I hope he can pull things together. But a little mention as well to Cameron Beaubier and Aaron Canet. They had a fantastic battle in the middle of the pack there for 4th and 5th place. It was really good to watch. Didn't see much of it, but what we did see was very, very interesting. The cameras were just fixated on the 2 Red Bull KTM rides, for good reason, of course. They are battling out for a World Championship. Bad day for the Petronas Sprinter Racing team in general. No points in Moto3 and in Moto2. Jake Dixon and Xavi Vieje both crashing into the first corner here in Portimao, which of course is iconic for being very, very difficult, and unfortunately 2 riders crashing out. The Alberto Reinas had a heavy crash, and I really feared that was a collarbone issue. I hope he's okay, and I hope there's no mention of a collarbone damage, but I am not seeing positive scenes from when I looked yesterday. Finally, Lorenzo Baldassarri, I didn't even see the crash again for the MV Agusta rider, but unfortunately Lorenzo Baldassarri not finishing the Grand Prix either. Some good rides in the middle of the pack. Marcos Ramirez, who obviously had that horrendous crash with Remy Gardner into the final corner just a couple of days ago, thankfully finished in the points, so good job to Marcos Ramirez, taking 2 points away, and a few more to mention as well, such as Marcel Schrotter back in the points situation, and Celestino Vietti finishing in 6th. So good results for some of the rides in Moto2, but now it's time to discuss MotoGP, which was a thrilling race, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and so it is time for the big boys. So now to discuss with Pecco Bagnaia taking the victory here in truly dominant fashion here in Portimao, which resulted in the Constructors' Championship. So Ducati going back-to-back with the Constructors' Championship, fantastic job for the Bologna factory team. Absolutely brilliant. Jack Miller on the podium, joined with Joan Mir in second place. Really great day for Ducati. Something I did see which was a bit odd though is they did the constructors picture with all the Ducati riders, barring Luca Marini for some strange reason. Not entirely sure why that was, but yes, celebrations underway for Ducati for taking the Constructors' Championship. Bad day at the office for the world champion Fabio Quartararo, and I got to say I'm not one for if, whats, buts and maybes, but Steve Day mentioned during the broadcast the possibility if Pecco Bagnaia didn't crash in Misano 2 and went on to take the victory of Emilia-Romagna. We could be seeing a totally different finish to this World Championship right now, because Fabio Quartararo had a nightmare. In his own words, he called it a nightmare due to the lack of the speed on board that Yamaha, and we could be seeing a complete different swing. It'd roughly be around 30-35 point difference as things stand right now if Pecco Bagnaia stayed on board the bike in Misano 2. That's how crazy that what-if scenario would have been. But the reality is, Fabio Quartararo is the world champion, truly, truly deserved, but had a nightmare here in Portimao yesterday, and I'm glad he's okay. I mean, the crash didn't seem to take anything out of him. He just sort of walked away, rubbed it off, and just fine, it is what it is. And I like that attitude, but unfortunately, not what I expected to see from the world champion. Now, something to mention, I did choose Alex Marquez for today's video, because in my opinion, apart from Pecco Bagnaia stealing the show, I kind of expected Pecco Bagnaia to do it. I even considered putting a bet on Pecco Bagnaia, and I am not a betting man, but I was that confident that Pecco was going to get the job done here yesterday. I keep saying yesterday, I'm recording this on the Monday, so my apologies. And he was just brilliant, but Alex Marquez was really the rider of the day if Pecco Bagnaia didn't exist. He was really good, and unfortunately the red flag came out towards the end of the Grand Prix with about 2 laps remaining. And I genuinely felt that that was the worst thing that could have happened to Marquez, because Alex Marquez could have put that LCR Honda on the podium, and he was really pushing for it. He pushed Jack Miller right down to the death, and it was a really great battle to watch. Both riders having a very clean fight, very confident, and just very fair. It's what you like to see in bike racing, and it's good to see Alex Marquez getting that mojo back, because we all know that the RCV 213 is a very difficult bike to ride, and Marquez obviously having difficulties with it. It's the same as Taka Nakagami, Paul Espargaro, Stefan Bradley, and Marquez even had his difficulties as well this season, but it was great to see the LCR Honda man fighting up there. Luca Cecchinello couldn't even watch, and no, I can't blame him, because it must have been hard to watch what was occurring. And of course, that's the reason why I've chosen for today's video, so major props to Alex Marquez. A little bit of a shout out to Johan Zarco winning the Independent Riders Championship. Sadly, it's not actually a proper award or anything, it's just sort of a bit of a graphic, and thanks pal, well done. But brilliant job for Johan Zarco. He's been most definitely one of the best independent riders of the season. Of course, the statistics show that. And we are really getting close now to the actual finale of the Rookie Championship between Enea Bastianini and Jorge Martin. Both riders finished in the top 10 positions. The Martinator, Martin, finished in 7th place, and the Beast, Enea Bastianini, finished in 9th position. And it's actually advantage Enea Bastianini for the Rookies Championship. It's literally just 3-point difference. So that is going down to the final lap of Valencia, which is going to be very thrilling to see who's going to come out on top. Now, of course, Jorge Martin has been injured for the majority of the season, and Enea Bastianini's also got a caveat of his own, and that's being that the GP19 that he's on is very old and certainly doesn't handle the same way as Martin's GP21 does. So you got to look at the differences and really say who deserves it more. In my opinion, I'm going to have to give it to Enea Bastianini. I think the Beast's second half of the season has been tremendous. He has been really good, and of course the double podiums in Misano was no joke. You know, that wasn't gifted. That was an incredible performance. Martin, of course, in his favour, a Grand Prix victory in Styria goes to his favour, and it's hard. It really is hard to see the differences between the two, but it's going to come down to the points. Whoever finishes in the highest amount of points at the end of the season takes the Rookie Championship, so very keen to see what happens there. Very eager stuff for both rides. It's going to be very entertaining in Ricciardo Circuit de Tour in Valencia. But something to mention as well is skipped over Paul Espargaro, my apologies, in 6th position. Not a bad result for Paul Espargaro, actually. He's coming off quite a lot of confidence after Misano and improving step by step with the Honda. He's doing a good job, and I don't think it's what he expected. I did expect Pol Espargaro to be a little bit better on the Honda, but of course, everyone having difficulty with it. I still think he's having a good season. Probably not to his standards, but we'll see next season how he competes, and hopefully he can sort of give it a little bit more and maybe do something similar to what Marc Marquez has done this season, but of course, different talents. And of course, if you're not aware that Marquez didn't appear this weekend here in the Algarve due to a concussion injury or some sort of head injury, I understand, in a motocross accident, it's very vague to say what's actually happened, but that's what I can see reading between the lines, etc. But a few more to mention as well before, unfortunately, we have to end the video. Alex Rins with the shoulder cam this weekend was absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't seen the footage of the shoulder cam on Alex Rins, definitely check it out, because that was extremely fascinating. Seeing him engage the ride height device coming out of the corners was really, really fascinating. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. You'll be in for a treat. Let me tell you that. And of course, to mention as well, the KTM's had an absolute disaster. Only one KTM finished in the top 10. Actually, only one KTM finished the Grand Prix. Brad Binder finished in 10th place, but every other single KTM rider crashed out. Danilo Petrucci was taken out in the first lap. I had to see on Petrucci's Instagram feed, actually, to see what incident occurred, and he very much showed a very vague-looking camera angle that you barely see Petrucci get knocked off, but it's some different bike that takes him out, so no fault of Petrucci's, unfortunately for him. But Iker Lecuona, of course, the whole debate about Iker Lecuona going to World Superbike and Darren Binder going to MotoGP kind of makes it a little bit interesting now, because Iker Lecuona, friendly fire on teammate, or at least KTM teammate, let's say, not the actual teammate, but the KTM manufacturer teammate, taking him out into the left-hander for turn 13. Difficult situation. Both men had to be stretchered off, or at least Miguel Oliveira had to be stretched off, and it doesn't really help your causes for staying in MotoGP when you're going to do that to one of the best riders in MotoGP. And of course, Miguel Oliveira in his home track. Difficult situation to be in for Iker Lecuona, and difficult for the KTMs in general right now. Not having a good time of it. Not good at all. But finally, quick mention to Valentina Rossi in his penultimate Grand Prix. And he finished in the points in 13th place, just ahead of teammate Andrea Dovizioso and behind half-brother Luca Marini. So good job for Valentino Rossi. Not what he probably expected. He did feel rather confident coming up to this Grand Prix, but unfortunately a 13th place is not too bad for the Doctor, who's about to hit father time, so not too bad. And of course Dovi on the B-Spec factory Yamaha, finishing in 14th place, is not a bad job for Dovizioso, formerly known as Desmo Dovi, but I guess you can't say that anymore. We'll have to give him a new nickname. Now, just to mention some of the crashes out of the Grand Prix of the Algarve, as mentioned already, Miguel Oliveira and Iker Lecuona, as well as Danilo Petrucci, of course. Quartararo mentioned previously, but I didn't mention Aleix Espargaro, the man on board the Aprilia. Having a good season is Aleix Espargaro, the one podium in Silverstone, but unfortunately crashing here. And did he crash in Misano as well? I want to say he did. Not really good shape of form right now for Aleix Espargaro. I'm actually not sure if he crashed in Misano. He might have finished in the top 10, because I do believe that might have been the first top 10 of both Aprilia riders, i.e. Maverick Vinales and Aleix Espargaro. And Maverick Vinales didn't finish in the points here in the Algarve, which surprised me somewhat. I did expect to see Maverick Vinales up there with some of the best of them. Not in the sense of battling for a podium, but at least for a top 15 or top 10 position. Sadly didn't come to fruition for Maverick Vinales. And of course, Franco Morbidelli finishing dead last in 17. He is having a really, really tough time with his injury. He's still, of course, recovering, taking his time to get better. As long as he's not crashing and as long as he's not making too many mistakes, he's going to recover and he'll be back to his old self again. And I expect to see him back up there next year when he's confident with the factory Yamaha, and see how he performs under pressure as well. Because, of course, when you get to the factory team, it means more pressure. Not only just you've got a better bike, but it's more pressure, more notoriety to succeed with. So we'll see how Frankie gets on. Quick mention of Stefan Bradley as well, returning back. Literally, Stefan Bradley must sit there at the phone just waiting the second something comes up with the Repsol Honda team, because literally, if they ever need him, he's straight away there every single time. He is fantastic. One of the best test riders in the world. He's literally ready and willing to go at any single point. So major props to Stefan Bradley for doing a good job in that regard. But we now just round out the final corners of Portimao here in the Algarve, and I've got to say I've really enjoyed making this video for you, so I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to my opinions and race recap of Portimao for round 17. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the Dennis Foggia, Darren Binder incident, and also let me know what you think is going to happen for Valencia in the terms of Remy Gardner versus Raul Fernandez. But guys, it's been a pleasure to make this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments section down below. Consider liking the video and also subscribing as well, because I'm on the charge for 2,500 subscribers and I'd be very grateful if you can help me get to that number. But upon that note, guys, thank you very much for watching as always. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.